Hi, Jesse. Derek, welcome to Toronto.
Thank you.
Jesse, this window illustrated the difficulties of getting opponents these days with all the confederation competitions and things. Do you foresee more challenges in this regard going up to the World Cup? And do you have any sense of the timetables for the team?
For the timetables for what? For
Do you have
the other
sense
opponents?
For what is going to be ahead?
Okay. Yeah, look, let's start with the time we had in Montreal. It was a really nice experience for our team. I think they were out in the community. They went to a lot of training sessions. The feedback we got in terms of how their behavior and their commitment to be there, sometimes out on the pitch training with the kids, sometimes signing autographs and taking pictures. We had an open training session. We had a coaching symposium. You know, we met with business leaders in the community. We tried to make it a real enriched experience for the community, for the players, for the team, you know, to continue to build momentum and interest and excitement about who we are and what we're becoming for 2026. And I have to say in there, you know, CF Montreal was a big partner for us in the whole process. And Joey Saputo and I had a really good meeting. And look, I wouldn't be here without his support. And his support, even since I've been here with what the national team's been doing and our time in Montreal, has been vital for us in building this toward 2026 and beyond. And I think that, you know, everything that Joey's meant for that community, everything that our relationship continues to be, it's been awesome to see what he's achieved with Bologna and a team in the Champions League. And in a lot of ways, I think that should make Canadians proud and Montreal proud to see that. So there's a lot of symmetry, I think, between the community there, the spheres of influence in the community and the soccer world, and then what it's meant to this national team and where we're going to go in the future. Now, yeah, of course, there are major challenges with scheduling and getting the right kinds of opponents. We've been trying to work ahead of time with European nations, with African nations, with Asian nations, South American nations, on what their potential schedules could look like. Some of it has to do with what teams will draw with 4 in Europe versus 5, and are there potential to be a few teams open in certain windows, and it's across every confederation, so it's complicated, and we can't necessarily make anything concrete right now, but we're really trying to build out a robust schedule that gives our players and our team the opportunity to play against the best opponents possible in the preparation for 2026. So it's complicated, as you can see. But I'm confident that we're going to have a lot of really good opponents coming up. And then in the meantime, I think this march that we're on toward the Nations League in March of 2025 is really important for us and our focus to make sure that we compete in all these matches to give ourselves the best chance to go after a trophy in March has been really strong.
Is there anything concrete other than the Nations League? Right?
Can I just ask for one? Try not to put Mike stand.
Okay.
Because every time you do it,
Like this.
Yeah.
No, but you know, I think there's and it's because team schedules, right? And we have to wait for some of the draws for World Cup qualifying and different things like that. But I'm confident based on the conversations that we've had that we'll have some really good opponents. Yep.
Matthew?
As we start to look at the roster over maybe now until possible Nations League final in March of 2025, but even as we march towards 26, when do we start looking into the roster to glean who you are looking at and how you're evaluating talent? I know now there's recruitment that's coming in, and I know that you're trying to see what the base of talent that you have is. You bring in different guys and have giving guys their first opportunity at the camp. But when do we start? Because there have been some subtractions too. Some guys have been left off who were mainstays in a different cycle.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, and maybe Derek can discuss about what this experience has been like. But I think, you know, we've established with the core group what we are and who we are, right? And they've contributed in a big way to that. And now in the process, I think everybody sees that engaging a larger community and exposing them to what we do and how we do it will help us identify which players can be potential to be fits come 2026, and also give them the opportunity to put what we're doing as a team to practice and see if they can respond and develop and make progress. So the guys have been great. Like, you know, I've asked them at the start of every camp, it's like, okay, Here's our process. Here, we have some new players. We're establishing things more and more. We have to integrate the new players in a good way, and the players have done a good job. I don't know, Derek, do you want to talk about that at all? What it's like having a few new guys in?
No, it's been good, and I think that's what we wanted to do as a team, is to make sure that we're always pushing each other, and that we're always on edge and making sure that we're the best the best group that we can be for Canada. So yeah, I just think it's been a good experience so far, a good journey, and just looking forward to the games and the matches ahead.
How have you noticed the team holding itself accountable? Because you certainly have been someone who's benefited since Jesse's come in, both for country and club. So have you found the guys holding each other accountable, kind of making sure that everyone measures up to the standards that obviously Jesse has set, but the rest of the team have now set since Copa?
Yeah, I think, when we finished the Copa America run, we were very proud of what we achieved, but we also knew that there was more for us. I think in the Montreal camp, the camps after, we've been definitely trying to push each other and making sure that we're reaching our levels that we know we can be. I think we're just on the right path to the games ahead.
Special.
The closed door game against Montreal, did you learn anything about your three new guys, Santiago?
What closed door game?
If there may have been a closed
Okay,
door
that's a
game,
better way to frame that question.
then would you perhaps have learned anything? about your three new guys?
Yeah, I mean, look, throughout the whole, one of the benefits of having, if you were to have a closed door match, is to just give more players an opportunity to be on the pitch together and have a little bit more of a mixed group. And that, along with training, to try to push players to understand the standard. So not just the style of play, but also the standard of play at the national team. And again, the thing that I challenge these guys all the time is that when we come back together, that we don't just pick up where we left off, but that we are even stronger, and they continue to show that. Now comes tomorrow a test, and we know a difficult test against a physical Panama team, a good Panama team, also a team that is riding the high of Copa America. So we're not naive to think that we're any better than Panama. We know exactly what the game will require. And also for us to be back here in Canada is really exciting. And we're hopeful to have a really big crowd out there tomorrow night.
Do you expect to integrate these three new guys tomorrow?
They won't from the start, but yeah, let's see how the match goes. I think they've all done well. We could talk about each one individually, but I think as a group, they've come in, they've shown personality, they fit into the group. The guys have certain things that they do away from the pitch that they're really engaged with each other, and all the new guys that come in, it's really an incredible team this way in terms of the character and the how much they love to be together. It's really special that way. So I think when new players come in, as intimidating as it can be to be a 19, 20-year-old and walk into the national team, I think these guys are really good at welcoming them and making them feel part of everything. Rash?
Hey guys, from a coach standpoint, from a player standpoint, Jesse, when you say kind of who we want to be for 2026, what does that mean through the lens of a coach? And Derek, what does that mean through the lens of a player as you think about something a little less than 2 years out?
Why don't you go, Derek?
Yeah, I think especially the experience now in Montreal, we saw going around to the community, seeing all the young faces, seeing how much we mean to this country. I feel like sometimes when you're in the thick of it, you may forget about the impact you're making on people around Canada. And I think looking forward to 2026, it just brings that more excitement that we really are role models to a lot of the young players around the world, and that we do have a responsibility to represent this country in a good way. So for me as a player, I was already so excited from when I knew the World Cup was going to be in Canada's. I started playing football because of World Cups, and I never once imagined to be able to play a World Cup on my home soil. So now when I'm seeing the impact that it's having, throughout Canada, throughout the different parts of, Quebec, I'm from Ontario, but I'm just imagining, if you take now Canada as a whole, how big it is, the impact we're having is really huge. And it just, as a player, it makes me feel in the 2026 World Cup, how much more exciting it can be. if we have a run like we did in Copa America at a World Cup now with the entire world watching, you know, how special that would be. It's just more exciting, but also more motivating to really make sure that we do the work now that's going to be able to make us successful for the World Cup that's going to be coming in, less than 2 years.
Just from a coach standpoint, like when you talked about what we want to be for 2026.
Yeah, I
what
can-
are the steps along the way to kind of get there?
Look, this is why I wanted him to speak first, right? Like you see, every player is like this. The responsibility they feel to the national team and to the country is different. It's like nothing I've ever seen, right? So, and look, even, you know, Copa America, we know we got a lot of eyeballs on the team. We're excited to play at home tomorrow, and we're excited to have our fans cheer them on and show their appreciation of these guys. In there, we also know that, you know, in TV, we need to find ways to get more eyeballs on our matches. And, you know, when I heard what the viewership was after our US game, it was a little bit disappointing because we played such a great game. The guys, again, exemplified exactly who they are and how good they're becoming. And so, you know, it's not my job, but Kevin's trying to figure out ways so that from a TV perspective, from a marketing perspective, from all ways that we can show how amazing these guys are, what kind of role models they are, and that they're become heroes and household names come 2026 so that the energy and force behind the team and the community is bigger than we've ever seen. And yeah, in there, what does it mean to me? Well, it's about pushing the football every day, about the level at which we play, about the demands that I put on these guys. Like we're only scratching the surface for me in terms of how good I believe they can become. And obviously they've accelerated the learning curve by how they've performed and how they've adapted. And a lot of it has to do with their togetherness and their commitment for the national team. But I keep telling them that with more and more success and with more and more development that they show me and intelligence and everything else, my job is to not be satisfied, to tell them they're doing well and that I'm proud of them, but that we have to keep pushing and the demands have to grow even more. Because my vision is not to win a game, not to get out of the group, but to be winners at the World Cup, right? And of course, can we raise a trophy? It's not time to speak about that yet, but we want to think on home soil that against any opponent that we can challenge them, that we can be the aggressor, that we can be the better team, and that we can find ways to win on the biggest stage. And that's what success means to me.
I think as well to add to that, you know, as a player, and I know a lot of the guys as well, us growing up and falling in love with the game, you know, our role models often came from players from other countries, the Brazilians, the Ronaldos, Ronaldinhos, and so on. But what makes this team and this group so special, and I think what motivates us as well, is that we have the opportunity now to be role models to the younger generation that they can look up to as Canadians. You know, there's how many Canadian fans walking around now with a Davies jersey or a David jersey, and that's special to us, and we're proud of that. And so we want to continue pushing the game in this country in the right direction, so the young generation now can really have role models that are Canadian and that can represent Canada in a good way.
Yes, hello. Hello, Jesse and Derek. David Samudio from RTC in Panama. You got a chance to make Panama, I think, 2011 Gold Cup as an assistant to Bradley in Tampa. You remember that?
Yeah, okay.
We won 2-1. So we do remember that one.
Okay.
What are the difference from that Panama that you met and your difference? That was 2011,
Yeah.
2024, 13 years have gone by. But what difference can you see in both teams?
Yeah, I mean, look, if I remember back to that game, there was some MLS players in that team that were good, Blas Perez and, you know, a few others, and it was an experienced team. I think what you have now in Panama is, you know, more players playing in Europe, playing in Mexico, playing in some bigger clubs. I've coached Amir Murillo, who's now Derek's teammate, and I coached Fidel Escobar. I know the pride they have for playing the Panamanian national team. I know that they're like Amir is a very, very talented player as well as Fidel, and these guys are not just gifted athletes who play football, which may have been some of the characterization of the past. They're more cultured footballers, and the sport has grown a lot in the country. So, and I think their coach has also done an amazing job to organize them, to make them difficult to play against, to have a clear playing style and a way of doing things. And I think they've earned a lot of the success that they've gotten over the past years. So We know that the game will be very difficult. You know, obviously there's a lot of, we've talked a lot, there's a lot transforming in Canada as well, but we're excited for this match, and we know it'll be difficult.
Derek, how can you tell us about Michael Amir, your relation with him?
Yeah, it's actually a good friend of mine since I've joined Marseille. As the coach mentioned, he's a great footballer. I see his qualities day in, day out. So I know he's going to be up for the challenge. You know, he's going to be on my side. You know, he's the right wing back, and on the left side, you know, it's going to be a challenge. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, it's always nice to play against a friend, a teammate, and yeah, you always get that extra little bragging rights when you come out on top. So thanks.
Yep.
Jesse, 10, 11 games is a long bloody lead in before you get a home game in Charlotte.
Mhm.
You've spoken about your excitement. I was wondering, is there anything specifically that excites you about tomorrow night? But also, you know, the last home game here last fall was during an interim kind of hazy time against Jamaica. It's kind of 16, 17 months. So it was a proper game here. Like, is there also maybe a determination or focus to give them something to shout about? To kind of this idea of a new year.
Look, we want to put on a show, right? We want to show the kind of team we are. I think we're eager to show the fans like what we're becoming, right? And so it's more than just a friendly for us in many ways. And for me, it's the first time at home. So I'm still learning in all ways what the Canadian national team coach means, right? And I'm trying to honor that in every way possible by my commitment to the team, by my commitment to the sport and the country. But this will be an important experience for me, for sure. And I think for the team to show like what kind of team we've become and where we're going.
Then just one quick one. We spoke about kind of how hard it is to find opponents. It's 3 games in the space of 5 weeks now. For all the strides that have been made, are there areas where maybe not you've fallen short, but where you're focusing on in the next 5 weeks that you would like to see more growth?
Look, we've focused a bit more on with the ball and some possession tactics and some connections that we're trying to make so that we're able to command games with the ball even more. Because most opponents we've been playing against have required more defensive structure, but I think we've developed in all areas in a really good way. We also think we can be a much more dangerous set piece team. So we've worked on that. There's certain rewards that have been built into the team for that. But look, if you were to ask me where can we improve, it's in all areas, right? And if it individual performances, team performances, development of the group, broadening of the player pool. Like there's technical, and then there's theoretical, and then there's literal. So, but the drive from the group, even in a week where at Montreal we had a lot going on in the community, when it was time to work, the guys worked really well together and pushed every day to make sure we were getting the most out of it.
Coach Jesse, Derek, this is a good question for you guys. Since we started talking about the fans already, I just want to know what role do you think that the fans play, especially here at BMO's field, and if you have any message to them?
No, I think the fans is always a huge role for us, you know, especially playing in Canada. Even before, you know, Jesse's come in, we've always had pride in playing on home soil, and that making sure that whichever team we play against here in Canada, that they're going to have a long game. And yeah, I think coach's philosophy and his style of play has just kind of added to the mentality we already had as a group, where, you know, we're going to be a team that nobody likes to play against. We want to be the aggressors. We want to take the game to them. So for our fans, they can expect that we're going to go out onto the pitch and continue to play with that same, chip on our shoulder, that same drive. And yeah, the message to them is, you know, we appreciate the support that they've shown us this incredible run that we've had since my stint in the national team, that, you know, we're giving our best every day, every training to bring Canada and bring soccer here to the next level. And we're gonna need them. We're gonna need them behind us, because it's the motivating factor for us to keep going when things can get hard.
Matthew?
Are you going to buy into visualization tomorrow, in the sense that in 16 or just under 18 months, it's going to be your World Cup will open at BMO, and they're going to start the construction for adding the semi-permanent stands and all that. And do you even play into that too, Derek? Do you think the players, or will yourself, like when you're walking up, being like, in less than a year and a half, this place is going to be where we're going to start our World Cup journey in 26?
You wanna take-
I'll go this. Look, I think it's a little early, like we all know, maybe I shouldn't say this, but we met with Nike today and they started unveiling the jersey designs and everything. And it's pretty awesome setup that they've created. So there are obviously always little reminders of where we'll be in a year and a half, but I think the focus for us is really in the moment and to make sure that we're really locked into the important things for us to continue to perform and get better. So that's what tomorrow is for me, is a chance for our fans to, I think, show appreciation for the summer and for this new version of the team. A chance for the players to, I think, show them, what they are and for me to learn about this. And I mean, look, even before the game, I'm not going to say a whole lot about the match. I'm going to let the players talk a little bit more about what it's like to play at home and making sure that we go out and show the fans who we are. So yeah, that's where I look at it right now. I don't know if your thoughts.
Yeah, and then from our side as well, it's a lot of, that's why the trip with Montreal and seeing the community, I think was really special for us and important for us to see as well as players, because again, it's showing the impact that we're making, because in this journey, it's very easy, as Gaffer said, to be stuck in the moment, to just think about the next game, the next training session, and you're unaware of, what's just around the corner or what impact you're making. So I think when you see events like that we had in Montreal, community visits, it kind of brings us right back down to earth to say, you guys, we have to keep going. We are making a difference. And, in a year and a half, it's going to be here in Canada, in Toronto and BMO. And we have to be ready for that, because we've done such a great job already in making an impact, and we have to just keep going on the route that we are.
Jesse, you mentioned the rewards. Some rewards are built in for the team. I don't know if you were referring specifically to the set pieces. Would you like to elaborate?
No, I'm not telling you.
Me? It's a little bit of a question mark from the Montreal game, but I'll just.
What Montreal?
Assuming there's no what in the future might we see in
The rewards? I don't know if we should get into that right now, but the rewards for us, aside from more private matters, it's just the growth of the game. We were kids once, we had dreams once in terms of where we could be as professionals. So when you ask for rewards, for us, it's just showing that younger generation that it is possible, that you as a Canadian, you can achieve your dreams as a footballer. So I think that in itself is a great reward for us to know that we're impacting the next generation and people looking up to us.
Jesse, similar to Matthew's question, 2025 is just around the corner. As a coach, does it feel like 26 is coming fast?
Yes and no. I mean, there's so much to be done. I think I've talked about this enough, but I look at it in sort of two aspects of this job. One is everything we're trying to achieve with the first team, and then the other part is how we're trying to impact grassroots soccer, youth movement, development of the sport in the country. So this is the part of juggling these two responsibilities for me, and that requires a lot of energy and a lot of investment and time. But I feel like we're on track in both ways, and it will be important that the youth national team is more robust for both the men and the women in 1 year, that there's a better infrastructure in terms of scouting and coaching education and player development and connections within the community between, grassroots level to academy levels, to professional levels, to national team levels. So there's a lot of work to do on that. And then, there's continuing to push the overall level of how good each individual is within the national team and how good the team is collectively. And we have goals and in all areas, and we're moving forward. We're probably ahead of schedule with the team, and we're probably still working really hard in the community to get to where we need to go there. But I know that in many ways the best things I can do to ignite all the right kind of connections in the community are make sure that the first team is as good as it can be, and that we can win games and that we can inspire with the way we play. So, always trying to think about how to do my first job the best that I can, but continue to impact every aspect of the sport in this country the right way.
And do you have any ballpark idea of how many games this team will play before the World Cup?
Well, I mean, if you take 2 per window, right? And then, obviously in the Gold Cup, we hope, and right now, the way I'm looking at it is there'll be some challenges with the Club World Cup. Like there's potential that we could miss a couple of players, and that will take precedent over international FIFA or national team football. So there's a few players we could potentially lose in that kind of scenario. But the Gold Cup, we're certainly hoping to make a big run and chase after a trophy for that. So if you add up those games and then 2 per window, and then, there's another kind of development camp that we're talking about creating too, which we're trying to fund and everything in the right way. So, I mean, there could be as many as 30 matches, between 20 and 30 matches. And I think the more that we can obviously mean in a tournament, a big benefit of us going far in Copa America was the time we spent together to continue to develop what we're building. And that will still be, as much as we're looking to win the Gold Cup and the Nations League and everything else, I think the time that we spend together is beneficial. Yep.
Derek, did you get a chance to see the kit?
No, I didn't.
No, that's top secret, man.
Okay, so it's just
I've heard great things about it, but I
Just me.
haven't been able to see it,
It's me and Kevin.
all right. You have any details?
No,
None.
none.
Says
Except it's
Canada
cool.
on it.
Except it's cool.
Says Canada on it.
At least it's cool for someone of my generation, at least.
And we'll finish with one question online. John Molinaro, go ahead.
Thanks, John. Hi, Jesse. Matthew Choinière was someone who, prior to your appointment was very much on the fringes of the first team. I mean, certainly he debuted for Canada, but was very much on the fringes of the first team. Since your appointment, he's really sort of flourished in the opportunities that you've given him. What did you see in Matthew that you thought, he could potentially push for a first team position with the Canadian national team?
Yeah, look, he was pretty easily on the first list that we made for the European camp. And when I watched him play, I thought he had a lot of the qualities that would fit the way that I like to play the game and coach the game. But I think he developed massively in the camp in Copa America, and his confidence grew as time went on. He's a very intelligent person. So his adaptability, even when he wasn't able to be on the pitch all the time in training, was really good. And one of the things I was most excited about when we played the 3rd place game against Uruguay was giving him a chance to be on the pitch from the start. And I think he took it and ran with it, literally. So I'd hoped that he could become an important player for us, and he showed quickly that he was able to do that. So that part was great. And I think the timing for him on a move to Grasshopper is really good. So I'm just right now challenging him also to learn more German.
Okay, thank you.
What about our little man here?
Yes, you got a question? Put him on the spot. Don't feed him a question, John.
This is coaching. This is coaching, John. Who's my favorite player? I can tell you who Derek's favorite player is. It's Jonathan David, because they spend every waking moment together. I don't really have a favorite player. But I like this guy a lot right here.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Merci à tous.
Wait, there's one more, John?
We do one more, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, John, I'm Gordon from Post Media. Question for you, when you're out doing your recruiting list, trying to strengthen the squad, and you're talking to players in Europe or wherever you may be.
Yeah.
Can't play for the last team. What do you say to these players to get them encouraged to try to join the team or even give a thought to it?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's taken on a life almost like a college recruitment style, with some pump-up videos, with some videos from the current players in the team, with a comparison of how they play and how we play. There's some pretty special gifts that we bring along when we see guys, and we want them. All of them have Canadianness in them. Some are born in this country, and some have parents that are born in this country, and so trying to, I think, translate to them in their world the importance of representing this national team in this country, and certainly what it means in our run to 2026. And then also to highlight the character of the people in the team, right? And the character of the team overall. I think that's anyone who's been around this group that's something that comes across so clearly, is the genuineness, the kindness, the togetherness of each player, and what it means to be together and what it means to play for the Canadian national team. So as an American, I try to translate that to them in a way that even makes me very, very proud.
Do you go to see these guys? Do you do
Yeah.
Zooms? How do you work it? Like, if you go in person, if you're showing
Yeah.
them to the player, that's probably important.
Yeah, I mean, some of it is, the initial parts always are, conversations on the phone or on Zoom, but then, and sometimes through agents to help kind of, facilitate things. I have, it's good that that I've been in Europe and been around, that I have connections and often at least know someone who knows someone or knows them, so then there's these little ways of also saying, hey, give him a call and let him know, what it would be like to play for me. And hopefully that winds up being a positive influence. But in general, I think it's about creating a vision as to why this experience would be enriching for them, not just as footballers, but as people. And that's what I think is most important about the Canadian national team.
And I guess just one for Derek. I mean, when we see the coach out there trying to strengthen the first squad, improve it as much as possible for the upcoming windows. I mean, how does it make the player feel knowing that the coach is out there scrapping for you guys that way?
Yes, as you said, he's out there scrapping for us, and it makes us want to scrap on the pitch for him. It's been really, really nice to see, and a really special feeling to have a coach that's, I felt, has gone above and beyond to better the sport in Canada. As you said, he's an American, and he could just be focusing on our performances on the pitch to help his CV, and said, look, I've brought Canada to the third medal game in Copa America. Our focus strictly on results, but us players, we've seen and do the extra work in terms of building the game from the grassroots up, and the coaching, other coaches at the lower levels, to really make sure that the game in Canada is going in the right direction. So I think, it's been a very good journey, and I think for us, it's very reassuring to know that the gaffer has our best interest and the country's best interest as well.
Good answer.
Thank you, everyone. Merci à tous.